Good morning. My name is Paul Vanas, and I am a board of director with the Providence chapter of the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. And today we'd like to talk a little bit about the subject of forbearance. Forbearance is a subject that has come up, of course, during the COVID situation. And basically, there are some rules that have to be followed with COVID, which allows someone to defer the payments, the mortgage payments on their property. And then, of course, there's a payment issue when it comes to paying the loans back in the end. So today we'd like to speak to Jeanne Elson Gordon. Jeanne is a broker with 25 years experience. She's also an instructor at our school, the Real Estate Nexus Training Academy, teaches continuing education, teaches pre-license, and she'll be able to tell us everything we want to know about forbearance. So good morning, Jeanne.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm glad to have you today. I know our members are interested in the subject of forbearance, and why don't you tell our group what forbearance is?
Well, forbearance came about when they started closing different states, and in fact the entire country, because the officials realized that people wouldn't have income and they wouldn't be able to make their payments. So in order to save people's homes, they created this forbearance, which means they did not have to make payments for a number of months. They had to request it. It isn't an automatic. It had to be requested, but if you requested it, it was automatically granted. So some programs were automatically extended at the end of the mortgage, which were your government-backed loans, your FHA, your VA, and your USDA. They automatically added payments onto the end, so they extended the number of months you had left to make your mortgage payments.
I see. So the payments themselves are not erased per se. One would have to continue these payments at some point in the future, correct?
Yes, they're not forgiven. They're just extended. So it allowed you to stay in your home and not worry about foreclosures.
I see.
So,
Now, is there a time limit on how long the mortgage lender will delay or defer these payments?
They've been continuing to extend it, and I believe it ends in September, unless they extend it one more time. But they have extended it from March of 2020 through September of 2021.
And well, that's interesting because so explain to me how that works. So if someone requests a forbearance from their mortgage lender, does the payment have to be made until September, or does just the program itself end in September?
The program itself ends in September, and then people will have to start they'll be getting letters explaining how their particular program works, because each one is different. But you have to, in order to get credit again, you have to bring your mortgage current. So anybody that is in forbearance, if they're not in a program that tacks it onto the end of their mortgage, they will have to bring their forbearance current before they can either refinance or purchase a new home. But it does give them time to catch up. Now, some of them would only have a few months. Others will have maybe the entire time, depending on their situation and how they were out of work or not out of work. So
yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. That really that's interesting though, because I don't think I've heard that before. Of course, I haven't had any clients apply for forbearance, so I'm looking for answers as well. But so, in other words, if I ask for a forbearance for 2, 3, 4 months of my payments, and the lender agrees and gives me this forbearance, and I go to refinance immediately, I can't do that, correct? Is that what you just said?
That's what I said, yes. As long as you're in forbearance, you cannot refinance and you can't get another mortgage. And if your primary home is in forbearance, you can't get an investment property or a vacation home with a mortgage. So it does limit us And as realtors, we're going to get lots of questions, I believe, as soon as the letters go out, as to how this works. And we're going to have to ask a lot of questions, because I spoke to one loan officer, and she told me about, not names, but she told me about a client that wanted to do a refi. And when she pulled his credit, it said he was in forbearance. And he said, I never used it. I requested it, but I didn't lose my income, so I never used it. But the fact that he had requested it, it's on his credit report that he's in forbearance. So people are going to have to check for that too, to see if, in fact, if people requested it, it is on their credit report. And if it is, they need to request in writing that it be corrected and taken off the credrit report.
That's
So,
interesting.
yeah, it's going to be very touchy for a lot of people. We're going to get a lot of questions. We're going to have to refer a lot of them to loan offices, but we should know enough about it that we can direct our clients as to where to go. I heard about another person that requested forbearance because she was going to continue to work, but her husband was not, and they didn't know if the unemployment would be sufficient. So they requested forbearance and, again, didn't need it. So she continued to make her payments, and she noticed after 5 months that her mortgage balance had not diminished. So she called the mortgage company and she said, why isn't my balance going down? And they told her that all her payments went in a suspense account, because as long as she had requested the forbearance and it was granted, as long as she was in it, payments wouldn't be recorded. So she said, how do I fix this? And they told her how, and she had to do it in writing, and they did fix it, and she's fine now. But there's going to be a lot of people that would have requested it and didn't realize that their payments might be going into a suspense account.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's one of those things that the media has not told us about. All they're basically saying is, just call your lender and you can get at least a deferred payment for a few months. But they're not telling you the particulars. Does each lender? Well, before I ask that, what mortgages qualify for a forbearance request?
I think all mortgages except private mortgages qualify for forbearance. Some automatically, like I said, extend to the end of, they just extend the length of the mortgage. And those are the government backed, your FHA, VA, and USDA. Conventional, each one is operating with their own set of rules, with how they're handling it. So those are going to be unique to the mortgage company. And we'll have to find out about them down the road. I'm sure there'll be some publicity about them, but each one is different. I talked to one loan officer because I knew you were going to ask me about this, and one said that the mortgage company she deals with, people need a 3-month, they need forbearance paid in full and brought current, and then they need 3 payments on time, and then they can get new credit for a mortgage. Another one told me that her mortgage company is requiring 12 months. So each one is going to be different, and it's going to be challenging. I guess that would be a good word.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, especially since if every lender has their own set of rules, one person might be, they hear that their neighbor has this set of rules, and I might have my own set of rules for my lender, and then all of a sudden things are a little bit different. So it's FHA, VA, USDA, Freddie Mac, and Fannie Mae. Those are the government-backed loans. All of them have to basically agree if you call and ask for a forbearance.
Yep, all of them have to agree. Yeah,
I see.
I think all mortgage companies have to agree. The terms as to the repayment is what's different.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I would think, because a lot of these loans are sold after the fact, and it's not just the government that you're dealing with; it's whatever.
Wherever they sold it, yes.
Yeah, right. It could be an insurance company that owns this loan, or another bank, or whatever. So,
Yep.
sure, that's an administrative issue. So, are there any fees associated with this that you have to pay, or provide any kind of documentation to the lender?
There is not supposed to be fees. I'm not going to guarantee that there won't be, but there's not supposed to be fees. And I believe documentation, you just needed to prove that it was the pandemic and you were affected by it, whether you were out of work or shut down or your company was shut down or whatever. I think you needed to prove that. And then getting out of it, you just have to stop making your payments and notify them that you want to. I'm sure we'll be getting letters telling us how to go about it. But I believe you need to put it in writing to them that you want to drop the forbearance and come current. So,
And
and
what
hopefully people can come current, or the company will work with you.
I see. And of course, once they do that, they have to find out if they're in what type of time frame they have to be before they can get additional credit. Because to your point, some companies want 3 months, others want 12.
Right.
And now, I don't know if you know this question. I'm just thinking off the top of my head, and I certainly don't know it. But I'm wondering if you're in forbearance on one and you wanted to go out and buy an investment property, I would think that would be flagged on your credit.
Yeah, you cannot. If your primary home is in forbearance, you can't get credit for a vacation home or an investment. You'd
Right.
have to go to private lending.
Yeah, that's I would think, because obviously the government is not allowing one to forbear payments on
Yeah.
one loan and go out and get another.
Yeah, if you can afford a vacation home or an investment, you can
Right.
probably afford to pay your mortgage. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
So, well, being this is such a short presentation, Jeannie, our listeners, this is not a big in-depth subject that requires 30 or 40 or 50 minutes of conversation, but what should someone do right now if they're having a problem making a payment and they want to get involved in this forbearance program?
they need to contact their mortgage company and request the forbearance, and they'll get forms from their mortgage company that will get them into the forbearance program. And the same thing for those that want to get out. Notify your mortgage company and find out what you need to do to get out and to come current. And I believe some people might opt to sell their homes because if they've got to come current with a year or more of mortgage payments, that might be overwhelming. So they might want to ask if they can sell their home and handle it that way.
I see. So the rule of thumb is contact the lender. Each one has different rules associated with it, and of course, play by those rules. Whatever those rules are that particular lender is asking for, you're going to have to acquiesce to those rules, and then hopefully at some point, the balance will be paid off. Do you know if it's paid off in one lump sum, or is it usually at the end of the mortgage? Is it? Have you heard anything?
Well, I know the government-backed ones are extending it by the number of payments that you used in forbearance. So if you used 12 payments, your mortgage would extend by a year. But I don't know how the conventional mortgage companies are doing it. Again, each one is going to be unique. So I'm hoping that at some point soon, because we're in June, almost July, and it ends in September. So I'm hoping at some point there'll be some publications put out that we as realtors can at least get some good knowledge about it so we can help our clients when they call us.
Yeah, well, that's great information. And, I'm sure our members, our NAREP members, and those listening, we have clients that can really use this right now, especially those that have the multifamily houses where the rental payments have been suspended and the evictions have been suspended, and that doesn't suspend your mortgage payment every month.
Right.
That's our market. The Greater Providence market, Metro Providence market, is a multifamily market. So this information would be really, really helpful to those owners, especially to give them a chance to catch up a little bit and breathe. I know the foreclosures, at some point, which is a result of COVID, they haven't hit yet, but at some point, that we're going to see the net result of folks not receiving rental payments. They just couldn't pay their mortgage, especially if it's a governmental loan, if it's a lender who didn't want to participate in the forbearance program, at some point they can literally foreclose. So
Yeah.
in any event, well, Jeannie, thank you. This information, again, it's a short bulleted module for our members. I thank you for coming on and researching this subject, and I think it really will be beneficial to everyone listening.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Folks, again, Jeanne Elson Gordon, we're talking about forbearance today, and hopefully we will follow up as the rules change in the program. Thank you for listening.